Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion. The fit today is a Grip 6 Belt Company shirt and a seat belt. Let's take a look at a video. Hey everybody, just like the Bible has no inherent meaning, it also...
So if it has no inherent meaning, why is every video of yours teaching people what it means?
Great question. I get this a lot, and this is not something that I can put in every single video I make, but I have repeatedly and consistently pointed out that what critical scholarship tries to do is understand as much of the data as possible to be able to reconstruct a reading that we think is most likely. And that's why I always try to point to the academic consensus, which is basically what the majority of scholars think the data supports at any given point in time. It could be wrong. We could discover something tomorrow that overturns what we have always thought it has been saying. But we do our best with the data and the materials and the resources that we have to try to come up with the reconstructed sense that we think was most likely intended by the authors, understood by the earliest recoverable audiences, or as close to that as we can get. It's never going to be perfect. Because there is no inherent meaning, we can never be absolutely sure. It is always an attempt at a close approximation. And I have consistently pointed that out. I've also pointed out that just for the sake of convenience, I speak about what the Bible says, what the Bible means, but occasionally I make videos clarifying the Bible doesn't really say anything. The Bible doesn't really mean anything inherently. We're always just doing our best to try to get as close as we can to what it most likely was understood to mean by its authors and earliest audiences.
How could somebody move from a less correct to a more correct understanding of something that doesn't have innate meaning in it?
By using the accumulation of data that grows year after year, and by applying more critical methodologies to our reconstruction of the most likely reading, we can improve upon readings that are primarily driven by dogma.
You can't say that everyone's understanding of the Bible is innately flawed because it's inseparable from their cultural and social context while being the one person who can supposedly transcend that. Why are the rules for everyone else but you?
So two things here. First, I have never once suggested that I am exempt from biases or from the intuitive lenses that our experiences embed in the foundations of our perception of the world around us. I have always acknowledged that I am just as subject to them as every other human being that has ever lived or that will ever live. I have also invited people to criticize me. And if there is something that you think is the product of bias in my presentation, point it out. It will get a fair hearing. And there are examples on my channel of people criticizing me and me saying, you know what, you are right, I was wrong, I apologize, and I have corrected that misinformation. Second thing, it's not just me talking. I am usually reporting the scholarly consensus to the public, not just saying, here's what Dan thinks.
This is like saying there is no answer, but you're right. Right about what? If there is no innate meaning, there's nothing to debate about. There's no substance of conversation to be correct or incorrect about in the first place.
That is a laughable misunderstanding and misrepresentation of how human language works. No texts, no linguistic expressions have inherent, innate meaning, but we still generate meaning with them.
You're simultaneously exempting yourself from the very standard you impose on other people by saying that any meaning someone finds in the Bible is just projected onto it, and saying that the meaning that they're projecting onto it is incommensurable with the actual meaning of what it says, which is a supposedly impossible task according to the first thing.
So that has never been what I have done. I have always acknowledged that any meaning assigned to any text is imposed upon the text from outside, including anything that I say or anything that I report the scholarship says. The difference is, are we assigning that meaning based on whatever makes the text meaningful and useful to us? That's one side of a spectrum. Or are we trying to reconstruct meaning based on our best efforts at trying to understand how this text would have been meaningful and useful to the original authors and audiences that we also have to try to reconstruct? That's the other side of the spectrum. I strive to approximate the latter end of the spectrum. I'm not perfect at it. No one ever can be, but we do our best. And I am usually reporting on what the majority of scholars think is our best guess based on the available data.
Because it appears more and more that you're not actually concerned with what the meaning of the Bible is. You're actually doing the very thing that you're saying you're not doing and other people are. You're actually ignoring the meaning of the Bible in its fullness, but imposing a monstrously sophistical, modern, contradictory worldview on it, while lecturing everybody about doing exactly what you're doing. It's just bad.
No, it's not that.